Before we get into the review, I just wanted to take a quick minute to thank everyone out there for subscribing to this channel. We just hit 3,000 subscribers on Friday, and I'm really hoping to keep raising those numbers. So again, thank you so much for staying with this channel for so long. Oh, and in case you're wondering what's the deal with the new look and everything, I'll explain why at the end of the video. Following up on last week, Hagutan had opened a portal that brought with it the OG duo of Nagisa and Honoka, pure black and white. And in an uncharacteristically rude manner, Emiru tries to mooch a new melody sword off her senpai.
Gimme.
Well, in another world, Nagisa is the mother of a somewhat magical girl, so it would make sense that she would turn to her if Daddy's not gonna buy her a new toy. Yeah, in a wise move, they decided not to pull a Kamen Rider Forze and immediately acknowledged that the two T's were from different worlds. Darn it, I jumped the gun with the Narataki clip last week. Also, a highlight of this episode was definitely Hana and Nagisa's catchphrase showdown. Anyway, while the original trio was playing host to their seniors, there was still a little leftover tension between the Six Rangers after Ruru inadvertently ended up destroying Emiru's guitar. This wasn't helped by the fact that Ruru's programming prevented her from dropping the subject, and Emiru bottling up her frustrations and eventually leading her to snap on her friend. The two took some time off from each other, but in the process they did get some helpful advice from Nagisa and Honoka. And I'll admit, while I'm not exactly completely on board with this whole sudden crossover, the two getting advice from the OG duo are nice moments, if only because there is a certain weight to the words considering where they're coming from. Anyway, as a result, both girls decide to make homemade makeup gifts. Emiru creating a bracelet with their usual product placement, and Ruru making guitars from scratch? Hey, anyone got Cryos' number? I want to put in an order for one of their RUR 9000 models. Speaking of which, with her job at the company in jeopardy, Purple tried to find comfort with her mystery lover. And after a little allusion to the story of the Crane's return of a favor, Purple stumbled upon something she really shouldn't have, much like the elderly couple of that old story. In Purple's case, it was jealous in her and her lover's bed. Just want to make sure, we are watching Precure, right? Not one of Mommy's soap operas on HBO? Yeah, honestly, after something like that, returning to the tension between the Six Rangers is refreshing by comparison. In fact, the two coming to blows actually makes a lot of sense as they had never really butt heads up until now. You could say that this has been missing in their relationship as the android programmed to be polite and the rich girl raised to be dignified had never really truly connected, ironically because they were being too nice. Nagisa and Honoka even acknowledged this by referencing one of their own previous tiffs brought upon by a similar situation. Also, I'm pretty sure your guys' show's aspect ratio was 4:3 back in the day. Editing software makes everything so easy, doesn't it? Anyway, the two exchange gifts with Ruru handing over one of the honestly kind of awesome looking guitars she made for the two of them. Yeah, I don't care if these things look like they're Sanrio products. If anything else, that just makes them more appealing. I'll never get tired of that clip. Unfortunately, for one lady, a lack of love had led to her own personal bubble popping. Thus, the only option she had left was to go to the top of a tall tower, walk to the edge, and, turn into an Oshimaida. Phew, okay, dodged the bullet there. But seriously, what's with the imagery in this episode? Anyway, the Hakuto team of course engaged to transform Purple. The depression of the NTR'd woman proves to be a little bit too much for them to handle. Luckily, they received reinforcements from John C. Come on, would you honestly be surprised if they pulled something like that at this point? No, obviously, the OG duo arrive and I just realized we never see them transform in this episode. I'm assuming Maple and Mipple are with them, but they just never appear on screen due to circumstances.
Exactly what kind of circumstances?
The voice actor budget!
Oh, shut up.
Anyway, they take down Purple in a well-animated sequence. In the middle of their fight, Ruru is able to deduce who they were fighting and recognize that she was suffering. Wanting to help her former superior, Ruru along with Emiru entered into Purple's heart. Inside, they found a woman who, much like the era she represented, had lost everything. However, unlike that era, she still had within her memories of her loved one and the ability to love again. Having mostly purified her, the two delivered the finishing blow with the transformed versions of Ruru's homemade guitars. And yes, I know people are going to point this out, this is far from the first stringed instrument weapon we've ever seen in this franchise. Hell, what did these things bring to the table that others before them haven't, and what was that click sound? Oh, 'cause they're shotguns. Okay, I'll take it. Thus, the episode ends with Hakutan transporting the OG duo back to their own world until October, which the show even reminds us of by giving us a very early preview in place of the usual ending credits. So yeah, ultimately, the OG duo appearing really didn't add much to the episode, but maybe that was for the best, as these past 5 episodes have been pretty much the introduction arc for the 6 Rangers, and as the conclusion to this arc, this was a pretty good episode. Alright, let's get this out of the way first. Nagisa and Honoka appearing in this episode was a blatant hook for the Autumn movie, down to the aforementioned special end credit sequence, and a commercial for the movie that played right after this episode and even referenced it. From a meta context, it is more than a little grating to me. That said, it's not as though the OG's presence really took that much away from the episode. They did take away, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Regardless, this episode remains strong by focusing on 3 of the more interesting characters of the series, backed by some really strong visual storytelling. Again, I was shocked by some of the stuff they got away with Purple in her arc. Some of this wouldn't feel out of place in Madoka Magica, for goodness sake. As for the 6 Rangers, it really does feel like the final piece of their relationship had been put in place through that heated argument. And one thing I really liked about this episode, as opposed to previous outings, was the fact that there was no Deus Ex Machina items involved. The love guitars were completely of Ruru's creation, and a powerful symbol of her friendship with Emiru. So yeah, these 3 definitely got the meat of the episode. I just kind of wish another trio had more time to shine. Yeah, unfortunately, since they had to take a backseat with the OG duo doing all the mentoring for the episode, Hana, Saya, and Homari were just unable to do much of anything. Again, as nice as it was to have Nagisa and Honoka be there to add a certain weight to the situation, I can't help but feel like these scenes really should have gone to the actual main characters. I'm also not a fan of how they kind of jobbed out the current team in the middle of the Purple fight, making my John Cena clip all the more appropriate. Still, if Toei really needed some sort of tie-in for the Autumn movie, I guess this is one of the better ways of regulating damage control. Hopefully, with this whole 6 Ranger arc over, focus can be shifted back onto our original trio. If you haven't seen it yet, check out my latest cooking video where I tackle a recipe from the monthly anime series, Today's Menu for the Emiya family. If you like salmon, or at the very least think Stay Night's Lancer is one of the best bros ever, you'll enjoy it. As for my future videos, I'm going to work on getting a long review of Smile Precure done, and I'm going to do it in my current summer look. Yeah, Hawaii's humidity is a little bit higher this year. And since I have to record with the AC off to prevent noise, I need to do something to stay cool. Regardless, look forward to them, and until then, though, farewell for now, my friends, and... try to stay cool this summer.